Welcome to the Scamverse, a small, absurd, and overlooked galaxy frequented by criminals, thieves, charlatans, podcast listeners, and other assorted ne'er-do-wells. This podcast includes dark humor, violence, and adult themes. Content warnings can be found in the episode description. Important notice: this episode contains dating violence. If you or someone you know needs help and support, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is a 24-hour confidential service for survivors, victims, and those affected by domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and relationship abuse. Advocates are available at 1-800-799-SAFE. Again, that's 1-800-799-SAFE. And through online chatting at www.thehotline.org. All calls are free and confidential. Today's tales include Awkward Moments Fairy and Secret Order of Secrecy. This episode is sponsored by Scamverse sponsor Prince Begone. We do away with your fingerprints for life so you can crime for life without getting life. Enjoy. Awkward Moments Fairy.
You're a loose cannon, Mike. You've gone rogue, and I won't have that in my department. Turn in your badge. You're fired.
The captain stared at me with his grizzled face, angrily flapping his fairy wings. I put my badge and old service revolver on the desk.
You had a gun? What the hell? We don't carry guns in this department.
So fire me. I took a swig from my flower nectar flask, turned, and walked out the door. I don't take crap. That's how my evening was going. I'll tell you how I got here, but let's start at the beginning. I'm Mike Sparkleblossom, and yes, I'm a fairy. Until a minute ago, I worked at the Department of Awkward Moments, or DAM. I helped humans navigate awkward moments in conversation. You may think, impossible. Awkward moments just end on their own. That's a myth. If not for us, a single awkward moment would continue into perpetuity. I advised humans, and I did it well. We can't give all types of advice, though. Awkward moment fairies are strictly forbidden from advising on medical, financial, legal, or relationship issues, or on topics beyond the context of the current awkward moment. I like that rule, because I didn't stick my nose in other people's business. But I've never seen an awkward moments fairy, you may say. Well, if you haven't seen us, good. Fairies are unnoticed by most humans. When we talk to humans, they hear us, but not our words. Humans, always looking for explanations, decide they hear a buzzing noise or ice cubes cracking or other nonsense. If a human perceives us, we report it to the Fairy Anomaly Investigation Line, or FAIL. My day started normal enough. I woke, poured a strong cup of coffee with a shot of flower nectar, shaved and dressed. I made it to the office in plenty of time. We didn't have individual offices except for our hothead captain. A noisy bullpen of crammed desks covered most of the office. The east wall was one long window that opened during business hours, so we could fly in and out, much more efficient than doors. The west wall was the assignment board. I tossed my jacket and my hat on my desk and checked my day's assignment. Please don't be her. Please don't be her, I thought to myself. I checked the board, and it was her, Isabel. Why did I get stuck with Isabel? Come on, this is the third time this week, I said. I'll buy lunch if someone switches with me. But everyone wisely shook their heads and hurried off. It's not like I don't like Isabel. She's nice enough. But having a shift with Isabel was like working 2 weeks of straight overtime crammed into one day. The problem was, once Isabel realized an awkward moment, she started talking more and saying things that led to more awkward moments. It was a downward spiral. I was called to Isabel 78 times today alone, in one day. I won't go through every call, but here are some of my reports. 7:48 a.m., downtown Skippo's Coffee House. I was called to client Isabel after she stated the following in response to being asked her name by the barista, Ron.
I'm sorry, my name? Well, I'm seeing someone, and I don't think that it's appropriate. Besides, he sometimes just shows up and wouldn't like you hitting on me. Oh, you mean for the coffee? Oh, okay. Well, let's go with that then. My name is Isabel. Don't get me wrong. If I was single, I would totally go out with you. I mean, your strong shoulders and cute butt. I'm always checking out your cute butt when you turn around. Like I say, I'm seeing someone. But like I said, I'm seeing someone. But I bet you have a tiger in your taint.
Tank. It's Tank. You have a tiger in your... it. I took a swig from my flask. 12:08 p.m. at the break room at Isabel's employer. I was called to the office break room. Isabel was having lunch. Stanley, her co-worker in his 50s, entered the break room with a female in her 20s, unknown to Isabel.
Hi, everyone. Guess what? I'd like to introduce you to...
Oh, let me guess. Your daughter. Is it Bring Your Daughter to Work Day? Oh, that's so sweet. Where's your wife? She usually comes with you.
I'm divorcing Barbara. This is my fiancée, Lacey.
I advised Isabel to compliment Lacey on her youthful appearance and then stop talking.
Wow, so nice to meet you, Lacey. I mean, what are you, 20? That's not even robbing the cradle. It's more like grand cradle larceny, am I right?
Advised Isabel I was taking my lunch break. 2:58 p.m. Conference room at Isabel's employer. Called to Isabel's panel interview for a management promotion. The interview was wrapping up, and I hadn't been called much, so I could only assume it went well. The lead interviewer, Leslie, along with Herbert and Aurora, finished their questions. Everyone, including Isabel, was smiling.
This could be a big step. I know you can do it. Are you sure you want this? Oh, am I sure? Oh, boy, I mean, is the Pope Catholic? Is Aurora having an affair with Chet and shipping? Yes!
Isabel grinned like an idiot while Aurora's lips tightened. I advised Isabel to deny what she just said and say she misspoke in the excitement.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke just then. That's incorrect. Aurora is also having an affair with Barney in accounting.
I tried to advise Isabel, but gave up and took a swig of flower nectar from my flask. Don't judge. 7:25 p.m. Called to client Isabel's car. This was her third date with Ched. He'd instructed Isabel to pick him up from the gym before the date.
I'm sorry I was late picking you up. I got this great job interview kind of today, and I really want to
I don't want to hear excuses. Next time, leave earlier.
Okay.
Advised Isabel to turn on the radio. A little fairy magic, and it was playing Linda Ronstadt's old You're No Good. 7:43 p.m., Chizo's restaurant. Called to client Isabel's table. Ched was ordering.
I'll have the steak dinner, well done, with an extra side of smashed potatoes.
I'll have the...
You will eat what I tell you to eat, and since you're already plumping out and it's only the third date, you'll have the garden salad with no dressing.
Isabel looked down at the table and wrapped her arms around herself. Seeing this, the waitress asked Isabel directly if there was anything she wanted to order. I advised Isabel to order a pot pie, the Cheetos double bacon burger, an extra side of gravy fries, a milkshake, and the Choco Laudo Loco dessert. Isabel looked at me and shook her head as if she could see me. I'll have to report this to the Fairy Anomaly Investigation Line. I remained at Isabel's side during the conversation. Chad told her his roommates kicked him out of his apartment this morning, and he will be staying at her place now. Chad instructed Isabel to fill the car with gas on the way home tonight, as he needs it while she's at work. Chad told Isabel that he's allergic to cats, and he may need to take her cat, Archie, to the animal shelter.
No, please. I've had Archie since he was a kitten. And besides, my apartment is too small for 2 people.
I wasn't asking for your permission. You need a man who knows how to take control, and I'm taking control.
Isabel turned in my direction, and her chin trembled. Report that she again seemed to look straight at me. This time, I moved my jacket aside to show my revolver in its holster. Isabel wiped her nose, laughed, and said,
Not with that pea shooter, you're not.
What did you say? I told you I'm not asking your permission. You should be more respectful, or I'll teach you manners.
Chad grabbed Isabel's left wrist. I'd finally had enough. Instructed and client to, listen on. Client Isabel took her fork with her right hand and reached under the table. Chad's eyes suddenly grew enormous.
What are you?
You shut up and listen to me. This sad excuse for a date is over. You are paying for dinner, and you are leaving. You will not call me, text me, stalk me on social media, or come within 100 miles of my work or apartment. And if you ever touch me again, I will... until they are shriveled little raisins that fall off in a slight breeze.
Isabel pulled her wrist free, grabbed Chad's steak, and tore off a bite.
Get out! Now!
Chad floundered up and walked to the restaurant door. He turned back and yelled, I would have treated you like a queen! Before running out. Isabel stared at the restaurant door.
He didn't pay the bill, did he?
Nope. I took a swig of flower nectar. How's the steak?
Overdone.
I looked at her and we both laughed. Suddenly, I got an urgent dispatch to my captain's office. My captain was furious.
Damn it, Mike. Your advice was clearly in violation of policy. You should have let her sort it out. What's wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. She did what she needed to. And that's when he called me a loose cannon and he fired me. I took a swig from my flower nectar flask, turned, and walked out of the captain's office. Like I said, I don't take crap. I found Isabel at Chizo's bar. She looked at me and tipped her shot glass.
Thanks.
You did good back there. I tipped my flask to her and we both drank.
Whew, that pony kicks. Oh, bartender, another grenadine.
She eyed me.
You know, he was kind of sweet the first 2 dates, then...
I'm sorry you had to go through that, kid.
I was more shocked than anything. Thanks for being there, and thanks for giving me something other than apologize and move on for advice.
I sat down on a stack of napkins. Well, that's my job as an awkward moments fairy. Or it was my job.
I got you fired? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It wasn't you. I wasn't cut out for that job.
No, you sucked.
She looked at me, smirked, and tapped the top of my hat with her index finger.
But you know what? Even though you were a terrible awkward moments fairy, you make a damn good don't take crap fairy.
Weeks later, Isabel was the largest guest at my office opening. It wasn't anything fancy, and not in the best part of Fairy Town, but it was mine. The door sign read, Mike Sparkle Blossom, don't take crap fairy. The end. And now a message from today's sponsor, Prince Be Gone.
I can't believe we got away. The best bank robbers of all time, I tell ya. And nobody can find us. We didn't leave any evidence. I even remembered not to leave my wallet with my driver's license this time. Genius! What?
We know you robbed the bank. Come out, Sticky Finger Stan. You too, Larceny Larry.
Hey, how did you know it was us?
Your fingerprints were all over the scene. Again.
Does this happen to you after every heist? Perhaps the problem isn't your fingerprints, but that police check for them. Or perhaps the problem is your fingerprints, but no more. Using Prince Be Gone technology, we make fingerprint evidence a thing of the past. But couldn't I just wear gloves, you may ask? Good question. Yes, you could wear gloves, but you have to keep buying them, and that cost eats right into your profits, and your hands get all sweaty. With Prince Be Gone, a one-time procedure eliminates your prints for life, so you can crime for life without getting life. Call Prince Be Gone today for an appointment, and if you're part of a criminal organization, ask about our discount group rates. That's Prince Be Gone. Call today.
Prince Be Gone and its subsidiaries are not responsible for lost fingers.
And now, back to our podcast. The Secret Order of Secrecy. There was once a secret criminal organization that ruled the underworld. The Secret Order of Secrecy, or SOS. The Order's headquarters were deep underground, in a network that linked the entire city, but nobody knew. I mean, how secret is that? Like, seriously, how would you even build all the tunnels and rooms under an entire city without anyone knowing? This group of criminal fiends took other more personal steps to avoid detection. One example is that each of the bosses underwent a specialized procedure that completely smoothed their fingertips and teeth. This procedure made them essentially invisible to fingerprint or dental record detection. The following is a recount of their first meeting after their procedure. The main conference room was large, with dark, wood-paneled walls. The lights hung low so staff could check for bugs, as secrecy was key. In the middle sat a lavish table for lunch, with each of the boss's favorite meals. Don Gecko, a short man in a gray suit, was the senior boss. He stood admiring a new stolen painting. Always early to meetings is what made him Don. Punctuality. Ruthlessness was a delightful bonus, but punctuality was key. The round doorknob of the conference room turned, yet no one entered. Instead, it flipped back into place. Again, the doorknob turned a little and flipped back.
Dang,
said a voice on the other side. Who is it? Asked Don Gecko.
you know darn well who it is. This stupid doorknob keeps slipping out of my fingers. Just open the door.
Don Gecko crossed the dark chamber and reached for the doorknob, then paused. What's the magic word? He asked with a smile.
If you don't open this door right now, I will cut out your heart and feed it to my goats.
Yes, Lelorna, just a minute. Lelorna, the goat, Winkleshire, got her nickname because she raised goats. Not the most exciting nickname, but accurate. Don Gecko put his fingers on the doorknob and tried turning it open, but the doorknob slipped back into place. It was really slippery, like covered in oil. Hold on a minute, I'll try again. But the doorknob wouldn't turn.
Say, how did you get in?
Lelorna asked. Staff were setting up for lunch when I got here. They had propped the door open. The two kept trying and failing and cursing for almost 10 minutes when another voice called from down the hallway.
Is the door locked? Hey, Bambo, not locked. Something's wrong with the doorknob.
Bambo Shrimp Dolarski loved shrimp cocktail. It was also one of those ironic nicknames, as Bambo was over 6 feet tall and wide as a building. Bambo gave the doorknob a try, but the doorknob started and then slipped back.
Did you put in a maintenance request?
No, we just got here. Wait for somebody to let you in. Luckily, as Don Gecko spoke, a staff member came down the hall. Lelorna and Bambo told her to try the doorknob, and she opened it with ease. Bambo swaggered into the room and saw a large platter of shrimp cocktail. Bingo! He ran to the table and was about to dig in when Don Gecko admonished him. Bambo, we wait for everyone before eating. Manners! The secret order of secrecy was ruthless, but they had manners. The group passed the time by discussing their fingerprint and tooth smoothing procedures. Don Gecko worried the tooth smoothing would have hurt, but he was relieved to find it was quick and painless. He feared going to the dentist, but didn't tell the others, for a senior boss could not show fear. Lelorna had forgotten about the fingertip smoothing and made an appointment to get her fingernails done this evening. She was pleased that the procedure went well and she could still attend her nail appointment. It's amazing. I wasn't allowed to touch anything for 15 minutes, no gloves for 1 day, and apply lotion 3 times a day for a week, and that's it. She admired the almost glass-like reflection on the pads of her fingers. They don't even hurt. Where'd you get the idea? I heard an advertisement on the Tales from the Scamverse podcast. Lelorna and Bambo's faces flushed. True, they were criminals, shysters, and ne'er-do-wells. But admitting to being a podcast listener? That's even too much for this group of miscreants. The awkward silence was cut short by the sound of the doorknob turning and flipping back. The group laughed. Yeah, I'll put in a maintenance request after the meeting. Don Gecko called through the door. The doorknob is broken. You need someone to let you in.
How do they let me in if the doorknob is broken? Has anyone put in a maintenance request?
Working on it. After a few minutes, another staff member happened by and let Mickey Soup McGillicuddy in. With all 4 members present, they were ready to start their lunch meeting. Since we're running behind schedule and punctuality is key, let's get to... What now? Oh, I have an intern shadowing me today. Is it okay with everyone if she attends the meeting?
That's fine
sure.
with
We
me.
all start as learners. Come in, called Don Gecko. A young woman wearing a simple black dress entered. She wore a camera strapped around her neck, held a small voice recorder in one hand, and a notebook in the other.
Hello, I'm Susan the intern. Thank you for letting me shadow you today.
Bambo showed her to a chair between him and Lorna. You must have enjoyed the self-guided tour of our confidential file room. You were in there forever.
Yes, very interesting. Do you mind if I record this meeting so I can take accurate notes?
Susan pointed to her pencil-sized voice recorder. The bosses looked at each other slowly. Finally, Don Gecko spoke. You can record with that little recorder? That's amazing. When I was in crime college, I just had the old pad and pencil. I appreciate your attention to detail, Susan. I can tell you are going places. Where are you attending school?
Oh, I'm studying at the Federal Bureau of University.
Lorna, who was nobody's fool, spoke next.
Really? I haven't heard of that one. Of course, before you record anything, I have to make sure you're not a federal agent.
Lorna narrowed her eyes and held out her hand.
Pinky swear?
Susan didn't miss a beat. She reached out with her little finger and tried wrapping it around Lorna's little finger, but it kept slipping off.
You keep taking your finger off. No, I'm not. Try again.
And again, Lorna's finger slipped away. Susan studied Lorna's nails.
I love your nails. Where do you get them done?
Lorna, who took great pride in her nails, told Susan she found a wonderful salon at the Caveat Emporium.
Anyway, she's been trying to pinky swear. That's close enough. Does everyone agree?
That's
Works
fine.
for
That's
me.
good enough. Don Gecko began the meeting. I'll call this meeting of the Secret Order of Secrecy to order. First order of business, last month's meeting minutes. Any discussion? Oh, and that reminds me. Everybody, please meet our new transcriber, Max. Max, would you like to introduce yourself? Max, who had just entered the room, waved hello. He was a young, thin man in a black suit. He sat at a small desk in the room's corner. Hi, I'm Max, and I'm pleased to work here. My last job was with the Federal Bureau of Corporation, and I'm happy to work with you guys, and I'm definitely not a federal agent. Wonderful. Thanks, Max. Now back to the meeting. Is there a problem?
Yeah, the forks and knives are all slippery like the doorknob. I can't.
Mickey kept trying to pick up his spoon, but it slid out of his hand. He tried picking up his glass of ice water, but it also slid out of his hand and spilled into his lap. Cold, 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 cold. Bambo gave up on using his fork and knife and was trying to pick up shrimp with his fingers, causing them to spill everywhere. Trying a different tack, he slapped the back of his hands together like a seal, grabbed one shrimp, and tossed it in the air. As he tried catching it in his mouth, he barked, "Oh, oh, oh," and clapped his flipper hands. Everyone, settle down. We have a meeting to attend. I know you're hungry, but what the hell? Don Gecko had tried picking up his butter knife to tap his glass, but it slid out of his fingers, flew across the table, and knocked Mickey's soup bowl into his lap. Hot, 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 Mickey yelped. Lorna was having no luck and gave up on silverware altogether. She tried using her long nails to pick up a strand of spaghetti and get it into her mouth when a flying shrimp knocked it off. Hey! Sorry! Bambo was flipping shrimp wildly. Lorna asked, Has anyone been able to pick up or grab anything at all since having our fingerprints smoothed?
No, I haven't.
Really, no. Don Gecko, you idiot. Why would you... I'm calling. Lorna tried picking up her cell phone, but it slipped out of her hands and landed in her glass of water, sparked, and died.
Oh, darn it.
Got one! Yay! Bambo showed a shrimp on his tongue and clapped his flipper hands excitedly. He bit down hard on the shrimp with his new smooth teeth, and the shrimp flew out of his mouth, across the room, and hit the light switch. The room went black.
Bambo!
It's not my fault. My teeth are all slippery now.
How are we going to turn on the lights? Perhaps we can help.
Susan and Max paced to the perimeter of the room and found the light switch. The dim lights of the room returned. As the group's eyes adjusted, they stared angrily at Don Gecko. Don Gecko, though, had bigger problems as he looked across the room. Susan and Max stood there, now wearing badges for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Nobody move. You're all under arrest. But you Pinky swore you weren't a federal agent, so it doesn't count. Technically, I didn't. Your finger kept slipping off. Consarn it. You people think of everything.
Don Gecko decided he would go down fighting. He reached into his jacket for his snub-nosed revolver. Unfortunately, it fumbled out of his hands, hit the ground, accidentally discharged, and a stray bullet careened straight into Mickey's leg.
Ow, 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 ow!
Bambo rushed to the door to escape, but only made a series of drumming sounds as he desperately slapped at the doorknob. Finally, the door flew open, but not from Bambo. A team of federal agents burst into the room, knocking Bambo to the floor.
Everyone stay calm. You're all okay. This procedure was a sham. You still have your original fingerprints and teeth. We only covered them with high-grade sliptanium. It will wear off in a couple of days.
Why? Asked Mickey, cradling his leg.
The fingerprints were to make sure we could safely apprehend you without your escaping. Mostly safely. Can we please get a medic to look at Mickey's leg?
And the teeth?
We just thought that would be funny. I mean, did you see that shrimp fly?
Agent Susan and Agent Max giggled. The crime bosses, despite their anger, couldn't help but laugh as well. And that's when everyone learned the value of friendship or something. The end. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. By joining the Scamverse community, you help put the us in morally ambiguous. Thank you to Scotchy Scotty for additional voice performances, outro music by Cullah, sound effects by Pixabay, music used for background is by artists listed in the show notes. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your hands on your wallets.
There's no